Welcome to the first ever episode of Let's Rap. I'm your host, Mark Gray, and I'm joined today by the former number 6 pick in the 2000 NBA draft, the former number 1 high school player in the country, the current captain of Three's Company in the Big Three, DeMar Johnson. How you doing today, brother?
Doing good, man.
Doing good. Well, for those, most of you who already know and listen to our previous podcast, The Barbershop, DeMar is my co-host on there. So I found it only fitting that if we're going to start the Let's Rap podcast, who better to start with than my own co-host and personal friend and brother, DeMar Johnson. So I want to start off by saying thank you very much for everything you've done over the years, for always being a good co-host, a good friend, a good brother, and everything. So when I thought about who I wanted to do my first one-on-one with, I thought you were the obvious choice. So just wanted to say on record, thank you for everything that you've done for me and the show and the website. So appreciate that.
Appreciate you having me, man. All you do for me also. Appreciate it.
So let's get straight into, of all those titles that I just gave, your accomplishments. Which one would you say you are the proudest of? The being drafted, high school career, the college career, Big Three, whatever the case may be. Athletically, what would you say if I said give me your number one accolade? What would you start with?
It's a good question. Never asked that question. I don't know. I mean, the high school stuff was great, and it came fast. I just came from playing around Riverdale and around Watts, and then next thing you know, I'm like the top player in the country. And back then, I didn't care. I just wanted to play basketball. I was just playing the games that was there in front of me, and I didn't even know they had rankings at that time. So me being, playing against the best players in the country, and people seeing me as the best one, that was fun for me. Getting drafted though was I can't even say that was a lifetime dream, because I never thought it was even a reality.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, where I came from, I didn't know anybody that made it to the NBA, or I didn't even know if I know nobody that made it.
Right.
I didn't see them guys. I seen them guys on TV and just thought that was just TV.
Right.
But once I started to play and people was telling me that, this is probably going to happen for you, I started to look forward to that. So that night getting drafted was big for me.
Let's start there. Most players who are in the NBA, their story is similar in terms of they've been a child phenom athlete their entire life. Mm-hmm. Yours is a little different. You started off your high school career, like you said, not even on the basketball radar, not nationally, not anywhere, not even here, not even on your own radar.
Right.
But 4 years later, you went from not even thinking about it to the number 1 ranked player in the country. Mm-hmm. Just walk me through that transition from just playing basketball to people asking if you're going to go pro after your junior year.
Right. So I didn't even know there was a radar. Period.
Right.
I wanted to be just good in my neighborhood. I wanted to be respected there. I wanted them guys to know that I can compete with the older guys. So I played against those older guys. And I'm looking at them guys like they're gods, because they can dunk and they can play basketball, but they actually weren't that good in real basketball terms. Mm-hmm. So once I first started playing AAU, like my first tournament, the guys who've been playing for years, they're telling me like, okay, that's Kobe and that's Shaheen Holloway and these guys. And I'm like, all right, what does that even mean?
Right.
They like the top ranked players, and I'm like, they rank us.
Right.
What I'm saying? All that was new to me. So after I played my first tournament, got MVP, and I'm asked, I'm like a sophomore at this time, I'm about to be a sophomore, are you going to come straight out of high school? I didn't know how to answer that question. It was like overnight for me. And then, I started, running off these tournaments, and I guess they're saying something that they haven't seen before, a guy my size.
What was your growth spurt? Speaking of that, how tall were you were you your freshman year? How tall were you your freshman year in high school? And then when did your growth spurt come?
The growth spurt came, from 7th to 9th. My 7th grade year, I was probably 5'11". Then I was probably 6'2" by the end of my 8th grade year. And then my 9th grade year, I was, which I didn't play that year, I was like 6'5". Okay. And then when I was kept back that year, then I was ended up being 6'9", because I had to repeat 9th grade. Again, I was 6'9" by then.
Okay.
And I was at 6'9".
Okay. So go ahead. So you're going around the country and
Yeah, and I'm noticing Curtis Malone, who's my coach, he was showing me off a lot. Like he'll bring these guys in the gym, and he'll say, like I'll have to stop from half court, do a crossover, and just take off. He like, hey DJ, do that. Show them something, do that. So I do that, and the guys will just be going crazy. I'm just having fun. So then once that translated to the court, and I'm going around the country playing against these guys, and I'm starting to see people kind of taking a lot to me. And I remember we played against Lamar Odom in the championship of one of these tournaments, and at this time Lamar was the best player in the country. It was before Tracy really, because Tracy stormed on the scene.
Tracy McGrady.
Yeah, Tracy McGrady stormed on the scene late too at ABCD camp. Nobody knew who he was. Lamar was the man for a few years, and Lamar was like, hey man, watch this kid, watch this, his crossover to this and that. And after that game, their coach was the one that was real cool with Sonny Vaccaro.
The Lamar Odom's coach.
Yeah, the coach.
Wasn't somebody else on that team? Is that not the team with him and Elton Brand or Ron Artest or something like that?
That was Riverside, but he had some guys on that team.
Okay.
Khalid Elamani played a few tournaments with him, but he had some really good New York, highly ranked players on that team too. But after that game,
things just changed.
Yeah, it changed. It was like Gary was there. I forget his last name. He was the coach for the Martin team, and he was talked to Curtis and spoke to me, and Sonny Vaccaro came in and played, and basically it was like, you the next one, basically.
So once Sonny, so you went from not even on the radar to Sonny says, I guess, kiss you on your forehead and says he's the one, and then boom, and then you're the one.
Basically.
Does life just change drastically for you? Like when you, after this, you come back from this camp and it's just, now is this light bulb going off like, yo, I'm the one?
Yes and no. At that time, I ain't really care.
Okay.
It's like, okay, then I go to ABCD camp, and I do very well there. I'm the best underclassman, even though I'm a sophomore. I was the best underclassman there, and they were saying I was the best player in the country, even though I'm not. I was the underclassman, and so people did start to treat me a lot different.
So then now from there we get to that point. So obviously junior year, senior year goes. You go to Maine, end up playing on a high school basketball team with you and Karan Butler, one of those prep schools, packed powerhouse. Your decision comes that you get to decide you are actually good enough to go straight to the NBA out of high school or go to college. In hindsight, now that you look at it, you went to college, you went to Cincy. So I guess we'll do this in two parts. One, what was your decision like that made you say, you know what, instead of going to the pros, I'm going to go to college for 1 year? And two, how you feel about that decision now in hindsight?
At that time, I basically was listening to Curtis and Sonny. What they said we were going to do. I mean, I had the final say, but I trusted those guys. Mm-hmm. Coming out of high school was something that I always thought I was going to do. Once my name got that big, I wasn't looking at colleges really. Like I wasn't taking visits. I wasn't even paying college no mind. And then when it came down to the end, after the McDonald's game, was really Jonathan Bender had that great McDonald's game, scored 30 points.
30 points, right?
He took a lot of the momentum at that time for our class. Because I could have still came out, but Sonny was like, you can come out. But right now, you're looking at it like a late lottery, something like that. You're too good of a player to risk that. You can go into your workouts and kill and move up, but a lot of people saying that you can get stronger. And Bender was just as skinny as I was, but he, like I said, he had that momentum from that McDonald's game. So it's like, okay, well, let's do a year of school. And we was trying to figure out what schools to go to. I mean, because by this time, guys had signed all over the country, and they didn't even think I was going to school. They wasn't even really recruiting me like that because they just knew I wasn't going. So then it came down last minute. Cincinnati had a really good weight program. And even though I was an Adidas guy and they were Jordan, Sonny was cool with that. So I knew he was gonna have a good team. I knew I would get stronger, which is really ultimately what they wanted to see. That played a big part in me going there and just being comfortable with Coach Huggins.
Okay. Just from my own personal thing and my following, Maryland, right here in Maryland, grew up about a stone's throw away from College Park. I've heard the story 1,000 times. Your experience, recruiting experience, as the #1 player in the country, Maryland's sales pick, Gary Williams' sales pitch to you was what?
It was it wasn't even much of Gary, but the assistants. It was basically like you should be honored to you should feel honored that we want you to come to our school. And
While everybody else in the country is telling you they'd love to have you.
Yeah. Well,
Maryland told you that you should love to come here.
Everybody kissing my butt basically in Maryland, basically man, look, we ain't tripping. You ain't tripping. You should. I'm glad you can meet me, basically.
And you actually grew up wanting to go to Maryland.
Yeah, I mean, I grew up a North Carolina fan, but
right.
I would have loved to go to Maryland. And Steve Francis he basically was like, man, come back here, I'm gonna stay and all that. I'm like, come on, Steve.
Steve wasn't staying.
Come on, you're not staying in
right.
school.
Right.
I know dang well you ain't staying in school, so don't keep it real with me. Don't have me come here.
Right.
If you gone. Come on, bro.
Right.
But it'd have been fun to go to Maryland.
Okay. Now you get to Cincinnati, right? So you come in as the highest ranked player in the country, whatever the case may be. Tell me about the jump from high school basketball to Division I, highest level. UNC was ranked #1 in the country for the majority of that season. What was your transition? What did you think it was like? What did you think it was going to be like, and what did it end up being? Like, were you like, I thought it was going to be easy and it wasn't easy, or I thought it was going to be hard and it turned out to be easy?
Right. Wasn't easy, but what I thought going in is I was going to have to do a lot more scoring than I did, because at that time, Kenyon wasn't a scorer. Kenyon averaged 10, 11 points the year before. I knew he was an athlete, a defender, but that summer he got better, and that year he just was getting better and better, and we relied on him to do the majority of the scoring. He basically took over, and made himself into the #1 player in the country that year.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't know he was capable of doing the things he was capable of doing. I knew it'd be good. I just thought me and Satterfield would probably do the scoring load.
Mm-hmm.
So I took a back seat, and I mean I was like 12.6, and still that was good enough for them to see. I mean, my height was so big at that time, I probably would have had to average 0.0, to not still be able to come out.
Right.
Because they knew what I can do. It was just about getting stronger. So that's the only thing that really, it was different from what I expected. Because I was always, I'm coming from, even when playing with Karan and all these other D1 players, and Maine my senior year, averaging 27 points like easily. I'm thinking I'm going to go to college, and do the same thing.
But then you just weren't. So when you got to college, it wasn't that you said, man, I couldn't score. It's just that you weren't asked to. For the first time, probably you weren't asked to score as much.
Definitely wasn't that I couldn't, because I had games where I was scoring easy, and we beat the team so much. I'm not even playing much. The second half, I didn't feel like teams were stopping me. It was just I was just always been like a coachable team player. Coach be like, do this, I'm gonna do that. And I just ran our stuff and took my shots, but the ball was going to King.
If you had a chance to do this whole situation over again, would you have gone straight to the pros, or would you have done that 1 year? Would you stick with the decision to do 1 more year of college? 1 year of college, excuse me.
I think me going to college that year has really worked out for me, especially like now, by me being back in Cincinnati and back in school, and see how the people there treat me, because I went to their school and I didn't even think they would remember me like that. I did that 1 year and I was out of there, but when I went back there, it's like they remember specifically like games, and because that's the year where they look at like that was our championship year.
Right.
If Kenyon don't get hurt, we win the championship. I still hear that all the time, and I've been there 2 years. That was our year, so they remember me from that year, and I was the highest recruit they've ever had come there. So they remember that stuff. People take their college teams serious, and I didn't know that. So now I've always had a home in Cincinnati, if I didn't go there, then after I finished playing, like what do I
Right.
do?
Right.
Now I have a chance to go back and coach and go back to school, to finish at my school. You know what I'm saying? And that's like my home for life.
Right. I see. I agree, and that's why I think that's awesome that you get to speak on that, and that even going to the high school. I mean, say whatever you want about Kobe, LeBron, these guys, obviously greatest NBA careers of all time, and hats off to them. But they're not an alumni of anywhere. Right. They don't have a home in terms of at that level. You know what I mean? Which is, like you said, one of the best experiences ever. You know what I mean? And your colleges, they do love their athletes. That's not just Cincinnati. They love their own. You know what I mean? And it's a fan base, and it's always something to fall back on. So I think that's great that you did go to Cincy, and that's an aspect that an opinion that I value. When you go to college, you leave college after 1 year. You're the drafted 6th overall to the Hawks. Now give me this transition from college to the NBA. You're only 20 years old. You're a millionaire instantly. What transition was harder, on the court or off the court?
On the court, probably. Off the court, I didn't think neither transition was that hard. It was just mostly about the opportunity. I felt like when I got my opportunities, I did well. The opportunities just wasn't there. I mean, I practiced well. I loved to play. Off the court, it wasn't really. It was just I had money now. I could buy whatever I want. Just me and my friends, hanging out in Atlanta, and then going to play basketball. I mean, it kind of went by pretty fast. I didn't think neither was that hard for me. I don't know what I would have done different because I always loved to play and work on my game.
When you get to the NBA, is your first time playing in the NBA practice, let's even say, do you say to yourself like, yo, these dudes can really play, or they just other guys that you're playing basketball with? It's really not that big of a deal.
It was basically that. I mean, I didn't look at not really in practice like these dudes can really play. I mean, they could, but I had worked out with pros and played against pros, and it wasn't overwhelming to me at all.
Your first NBA game. Tell me about that.
First NBA game against Charlotte Hornets. Get in the game, and I'm checking Jamal Mashburn, and I get a quick foul. Then less than a minute later, I get another foul. I get two quick ones.
Coach looking at you already?
I wasn't paying attention to him, but I just know that game I was in and out. That time was short in that game because I think I got like 2-3 quick fouls, and I was out of the game. And then
all 3 of the fouls were on Mashburn?
Yeah, I think 2 of them was probably BS, but one of them I definitely fouled him. He just was strong. I excel at guarding one-on-one because I'm used to playing one-on-one. I grew up playing street ball, and I can guard the guys just trying to take me one-on-one. He's just strong. He's trying to like seal me in a post, stuff I wasn't really used to. And I picked up some quick ones, and it was over for that first game.
What about? Did he say anything to you?
No, I didn't say anything.
He didn't say anything to you. And so just that fast, your NBA, your first game, you're in and you're out in less than 5 minutes, and so at that night, what do you think of yourself like? Damn, what the hell?
We play again tomorrow. I didn't really dwell on it too much. I was like, man, some of them calls was some BS. Rookie calls, I feel like it was, on a bet. But that game was over.
Who's the one player that you, like, maybe grew up watching, besides Mike, obviously, that when you got a chance to play, like, hey, I can't wait to get to the NBA and play against this guy? And what was that like the first time you stepped on the court against that guy?
Besides Mike?
You're right.
Not sure.
So then what was your first experience with Mike then?
Well, the first time when he came back, and he played us in Atlanta. I didn't play that game. He killed. He probably had 30.
Okay.
And I didn't get a chance to play against him. And then when I first time when I played in Washington, he didn't play. He was injured, and then I finally got a chance to play against him. The second time we came to Washington, and that was a little like overwhelming for me because of who Mike was to me. I remember I tried to cross him over, and he didn't foul me. He was like, "I'm not ripped." So
Okay.
I'm thinking, he seen me like, cross Rip. The game before he was paying attention, and then I remember when he left me to go double on Sharif Abdul-Rahim. Sharif had somebody hit a three, and I'm not a trash talker by no means. But when I made the shot, I was just like, I wanted him to know who I am. Like, don't. This what I do.
Don't leave me over.
Yeah, don't leave me to go double. You know what I'm saying? Shoot the shot in my sleep. And he said, okay, show you what I do. So
So you said to Mike, don't you said something to him, and he said,
"This what I do. Like, don't leave me. This what I do." So he goes down and puts me in a post, lay up easy. And I'm like, I'm taller than Mike. Like, he shouldn't be able to just easily just back me, just slide up under me, shoot a layup. And then again, he get me in a post. I think I might have went for a pump fake and got the foul on me. And he like, this what I do. And that was like the exchange I remember with him. But he played. I played well that game too, though.
So playing Michael Jordan, at the end of that, you're just like, wow, I just played against Michael Jordan.
Yeah.
While it's going on, are you like, I'm actually out here guarding Michael Jordan and playing against Michael Jordan?
No, not while it's going on. I mean, I do remember when I blocked his fadeaway, I was like, they could never take this away from me. I just blocked Michael Jordan shot. And what show up on his highlights, he got like a top 10, I think, highlights or something, probably as a Wizard or something. But and people be tagging me and stuff all the time because one of them is him blocking my shot. I'm like coming on a fast break and like Larry Hughes like slide under me. I'm trying to get beside him and shoot a little layup. Mike came out of nowhere and
we got that out of there.
Tore it up.
So your first 2 years in Atlanta go by kind of up and down between playing time, starting, not starting, just young, 2021, learning the NBA, and then unexpectedly after your third year, after your second year, you get into a car accident and you break your neck, and forget basketball. They're talking about whether you're gonna walk again. What's going through your head when all of this is going on? Now this game that's giving you so much, this life that you just looks like it's just basically snatched away from you.
I was naive to how serious it was because I was just like, I'll heal and I'm gonna be playing again. Like, I never thought for a minute that I wouldn't. People was looking at me like it was over, and I'm like, nah, it's not over at all. I had no knowledge of what happens when the injuries I had in my neck and what I had to do to get back. I mean, I knew my body felt fine. I just had no range of motion in my neck. So, my financial people like, man, you could just collect the insurance money and retire and all that. I'm like, nah, that wasn't even the thought. I was like, I'll do this rehab and I'll be back playing before the year's out, basically.
Really? So you never even crossed your mind that you wouldn't play basketball again?
And I was healthy before the year's out. They didn't allow me to play, even though I was cleared. I went through my rehab, and I healed faster than they thought I would. And I was out there trying to practice and trying to play. I was ready before the year was over. They let me practice a few times, but they wasn't gonna throw me on the court.
So then now, at the end of your fourth season, the Hawks clean house upstairs, and your GM is gone. Who drafted you?
This the end of my this the end of the third year that I didn't play.
Okay, end of the third year, and you now find yourself out of the league at what is this? 23 maybe 22. 22. So
it was 23. Yeah.
So at 20 years old, you're on top of the world. 23, you're out the NBA. You kind of thinking like, what the hell? Like, this is crazy. Like, how am I here?
Nah, I mean, I don't know why I just always just had this positive mindset. What my GM told me, basically, all you got to get healthy, you'll get your. Because they didn't sign me for my option.
Mm.
You get healthy, we'll sign you for your option. Basically. I got healthy, he gets fired. That don't happen. So yeah, now at 23, I'm looking like a liability to teams that they're not trying to take a chance on a kid who got 4 fractured vertebrae. So now it's about going out there and proving that I'm not, fragile. So, that summer, I was basically just trying to, just throw my body around and get knocked down as many times as I can and show them that I'm gonna get back up, that I'm fine. Like everywhere I go, I gotta keep getting the same X-rays. I'm like, bro, I just did this, last week. Look at theirs, it's the same. It's not changing.
Right.
Everywhere I go, they looking at my neck and saying all these doctors for no reason. But it's just what I had to go through. And it was an uphill battle,
You find yourself in the ABA, what was some other leagues that you played in?
Well, the ABA. Then I was back to the NBA after that.
Okay.
It was Phoenix Suns training camp, and then ABA, and then New York Knicks.
Okay. So now let's fast forward, and you get a 10-day contract with the Knicks. So this is actually, to me, I know for me, but to you, what was more special? What the first time you stepped on the court as an NBA player, or the first time you stepped on the court for the second time into the NBA? That you're a Knicks. You went from out the league, people saying you'll never play in the NBA again, and then boom, you're on a 10-day contract. You got a shot, and you step on the court as a New York Knick. Which moment was bigger to you?
The first one.
Really?
Because at that time, when I was in the ABA, and I had fun in the ABA, and I killed. But when I went back to the NBA, it was like I feel like I'm supposed to be here. It's not. I've been healthy. I've been able to play. It's just nobody took a chance on me. It's like I feel like I'm better than a lot of them guys that were in the NBA. I'm supposed to be here. Basically,
okay.
That's my mindset.
So it's definitely the first time. So the second one was more like, this is where I belong.
Yeah.
So it wasn't really no monumental thing like, wow, I'm back in the NBA. To you, it's like, it was back where I belong.
It was a relief. It was like, okay, finally I'm back and putting on the NBA jersey and playing in the Garden. That was super cool. But I did feel like that's just where I belong.
Now you finish out that year with you actually played very well. They signed you for the rest of the season. I want to say you started a playoff game, or you played in the playoffs.
I played in the playoffs.
Played in the playoffs, and boom. So now you're fully back in the NBA, and you signed with the Denver Nuggets. You are on a actually very, very talented Denver Nuggets team. You reunited with your college teammate Kenyon Martin. That Denver team was just loaded with talent in your whole time there. But it just never seemed to be the sum of its parts.
Right.
Looking back now, and from the outside looking in, why?
We had to play the Spurs. We had a very talented team, and when George Karl first got there, we won a lot of games. We were like he started me when he got there, like the whole second half of the year. We went like 30-4 or something like that for the rest of the year. And we were playing well, we were feeling good. And we even had like a 3-game win streak against the Spurs from the regular season. Then we won game 1 in San Antonio, but then Pops just turned on the Pops, and them guys. When we win the first game, then lose 4 in a row, and we out the playoffs in the first round basically because of the Spurs. And if we played them dudes in pickup, we'd kill them. But playing them, being coached by Coach Popovich, even though we had a more talented team, they just managed to just do the right things to win.
Got you. And that's all the whole time that you're there. I mean, the West back then is stacked. While you're there, you played with a very intriguing player to me, and Carmelo Anthony. The spectrum, the some people think he's, one of the best to do it. Some think he's just a straight bum. Why does Melo get such a bum rap? And when you look at his accomplishments and his accolades and what he has accomplished, why does he get such a bum rap? And what is he like as a teammate?
I guess because the other guys that he came in the draft with got rings, except Darko. Darko might got one.
I mean, if he does, it's
yeah,
right.
He didn't help
right.
get it, but I don't know. I mean, after a while, when they build you up, they definitely gonna find a way to break you down, and if you give them any room to do that, they gonna push it to the max. Melo was a good teammate. I mean, we all were pretty close on that Denver team. He do the scoring, and we fill in, and guys do play their roles, and that worked for us. He was a scorer. When he wanted to strap up, play defense, he did. He may not have done it the whole game, but if for he'll show you, I can do this if I want. You know what I'm saying? Well, Melo was young at the time, but he was fun to watch, man. He was unguardable.
As one of the players who would be Melo's the star, you would be a supporting cast sort of guy, and especially in your position, your job as a shooter. Mm-hmm. Did you ever find yourself just being like, "Yo, dude, pass the ball"? Maybe not saying it to him, but just in your head, do you just accept it?
There's times I feel like I've been open, but not just me. George Carl used to hate something that Melo did. It was funny. Is when a double team comes, instead of like you draw the double, you pass it. Melo pump fakes the double and then go into a shot. But he's hit that shot so many times, it's like, okay, all right, well, that's you can do that because you make those shots. But Coach Carl hated it, and but that's just who he was. He was a scorer. That's all he's been asked to do now. But a team like the Spurs, Tim Duncan is making that pass out of the double, and the ball is moving and they're getting shots, and that was just how that team, was made up. But I believe as Melo got older, he started to make them passes. Like after I left, when Chauncey came on the team, and even in New York, he started to make them passes. He was young. He averaged almost 30 points a game.
What now? In your last year there, they trade for Allen Iverson mid-season. Mm-hmm. What was that like? Having Iverson join your team, and just how did things change? You went from being Melo's team to now, you're adding a league MVP to the team. What was that like? Just adding Iverson to the locker room, adding Iverson to the court. Allen Iverson is basically a rock star. Adding that to your daily life as a team.
We added a rock star. Like it was the craziest thing. Melo was one of the best players in the league at this time, and but how people see him and Allen Iverson is still not even close. When we go into a away game, when they're announcing a star lineup, it's like Carmelo Anthony, boo. Allen Iverson, the opposing team fans cheering for Allen Iverson. They're supposed to be booing our whole team. And it's like, wherever we go, everybody, this is before social media, but everybody got their phones in his man's face. Nobody really was doing that to Melo. And Allen was more, he'll show his face places, me and Allen, because this was when Melo and JR and them got in a fight in New York and they were suspended. And Kenya was hurt, so it was really me and AI, together like every day. So I'm seeing firsthand like how much of a rock star this dude is, and like I said, I'm like that's crazy because they relate more to him because he's smaller, and he just acts like himself, and all real, nothing fake with him. So people take to that, but like being around that dude every day, man. Like I said, it's like being around a rock star.
And what was that like watching them together on the court, Melo and Iverson?
Well, it was something that needed some time. I mean, they played well. Allen had his games, and Melo. They both scored. I remember having a conversation with Allen. He just was like, it's his first time. Like he said, he was on a break, and and, and he felt like Melo looked him off. He's like, man, I ain't never like been looked off that blatant before. He was like, man, but that young boy, a bad MF. So what I'm saying, he is cool. He's like, man, I got 4 scoring titles. He can have that. I just want to win a championship, man. He can have all of that. I done all of that. All I want to do is win a championship. I ain't never won no championship. So he didn't really care about the accolades like that. He was just trying to win.
After that season is over, you don't resign with Denver and you actually head overseas. Mm-hmm. Now this is your first time overseas. Mm-hmm. What's that like?
Man, it was dreadful. The place I went to, and the money was good, but I just was like, okay, I'm in the bathrooms, man. Like, there's everything about it just wasn't what I was used to. So, I really didn't go into that, with the right mindset, because I'm like, okay, once I got there, and once I was there for a month or so, started getting homesick, started looking at guys that's signing in the NBA, looking at dudes' stats over there, and I'm like, man, I'm so much better than these dudes.
Right.
And it's like, man, I got to get back to the NBA. This over here, how they play, this just ain't for me. I didn't really care about the money that they was paying me. It was like, man, I'm an NBA player, man. This ain't for me. Call my agent, please get me out of here.
And then that's when you come back to the States, sign with the Spurs, take a trip to the D League, shorts. What were we there? About a month? Less than a month?
No, I was there longer than I thought I was going to be. I was there for probably a month or two. Got called up. They got sent back down. They called back up.
And then you played with the Spurs, and you finished out the season with the Spurs. That year they played they lost to the Lakers in the conference finals, right? What was that like, just being part of, after being in that Denver locker room, being a youngster, now you're in the Spurs locker room, and you guys are playing the Lakers for a champ, for the right to go to the finals and all of that. Right. Just what was that experience like, being in the Spurs locker room after being in the Denver locker room and other locker rooms as a whole?
Well, I quickly realized, okay, this is why they beat us all the years. Them dudes they just walk around like champions, and you could just feel the energy. Everybody gets along. Everybody just know their job. They know their roles, and if they just know they're going to win. And that was the first time I just felt. And these aren't the best basketball players in the world. I had better talent in Denver, but these dudes who just knew how to win, and they knew their leader was going, Coach Pop was going, get them there. I quickly seen that Pop wasn't a joke. My first practice there, he told Tony Parker, he was like, man, my wife could have literally been you last night in that game. You didn't do anything. And I never seen a coach talk to a star player that way, because George Karl would tell me, because I know I ain't do nothing wrong, and he talking to me, and he's like, I'm speaking to Melo through you, because I can't really talk to him, what I'm saying? So I'm gonna talk to you through Melo. Pop the opposite.
If he got a problem with a star player, he's going straight to him.
He's going straight to him. Tim get it as good as anybody. Tim, Tony, all them guys. He one time he made everybody get off the bus, go sit in the grass after the game in Sacramento before he went to the plane, and the grass was still a little wet because it was like in the morning. He's like, don't worry about it, I'll buy you new clothes. Because guys like, they want to sit down, I'll buy you new clothes. He just kind of went off on everybody.
He made you guys sit in the grass?
Yeah.
For what?
Because he wanted to talk.
He couldn't talk on the bus?
Probably media on the bus.
Oh, okay.
I mean, and the Spurs let your wives travel with you too. So he just wanted to talk to his team, and he was going off on everybody. Bruce Bowen, you're a prima donna now. They tell you can play some defense. You ain't played defense in a long time. You this, and they kind of went down the line and was going off on guys. And
when he talks, everybody just shuts up and listens.
He talks, everybody shut up and listen. I just never seen a coach that's so right. Even George Karl's a good coach, but sometimes, even all coaches, sometimes they'll say something to players like, I don't know about that, bro. Pop always made sense. It was always right. it was just night and day being there and being in Denver. But the only problem was I didn't know how to get minutes because we didn't practice. We didn't like play 5-on-5 in practice. We go in there, run over offensive plays, and then guys go their own way and shoot. And I'm like, okay, I'm trying to. In Denver, we battling. In practice, the starters, the bench players is trying to, beat the starters every day. It's a battle, and I like that. So I like to play.
Right.
So I'm like, man, please let me get a hold of Brent Berry and Bruce Bowen and like, let me get a hold of these dudes. I couldn't do it. It was just, what I'm saying, go in there, run over the offense, then go shoot.
Is Tim Duncan as stiff as he looks?
Yeah.
You say yeah, he is. Okay. So that with that does the whole organization kind of just feel stiff? Like the locker room, the practices and stuff like that. Does it? I would picture a Spurs locker room shoot around practice being like being at the library. In terms.
No. You mean stiff as far as personality wise?
Yeah.
I thought you meant like physically.
Oh yeah. Well, that's not up for debate. It's definitely like
right,
that. Right.
Oh no. All them dudes are jokesters.
Really?
Yeah. All them, man. It's a playful. Even Pops, he's a jokester. He'll get on you, but gotta love Pops. He joked too. The whole team is jokesters. There's no, like I said, there's no bad energy or tension around them locker rooms at all. Maybe Kawhi had problems there.
Right.
This is not first I ever heard of, but everybody walk around like a whole family, and with great energy.
Okay, it just looks like it would be very boring and very jokes frowned on.
You ain't see the picture that I posted one New Year's. We doing karaoke, me and Tony Parker, and another guy, Keith Langford, that got called up, and everybody was there. It was a really relaxed set. I used to hang out with Tony and his wife Eva at that time. They had a restaurant in LA, and it was fun.
At the end of the season, the Spurs don't re-sign you, and again you find yourself after that season is over. Mm-hmm. Did you ever cross your mind that you wouldn't be in the NBA the next year? Or
Not at all. I didn't. I thought I would play the NBA till I'm 40. You just never know. It's you can't predict it. It just ended up happening. Then took my talents overseas.
Then you spend the rest of I guess almost a decade now. I guess I didn't even realize it's been that long. Mm-hmm. All over the world, playing here, there, and everywhere. What's that like? Just going all over the country, all over the world. Excuse me, playing basketball. Some cities are good, some cities are bad, some countries are good, some teams are good. Just as a whole, just knowing that you basically every so many months are going to be on the other side of the globe.
Right. I experienced a lot that if I didn't get in my accident or in been out of the league, I wouldn't have seen none of the places that I've seen by being able to travel and play basketball and get paid to be there. Some places were bad. I didn't like China. China paid the most, but
what was it about China you didn't like?
The food. Ironically, the Chinese food here is better than the Chinese food there. I didn't like the food. I didn't like the people were just rude. Smoking in the gym. It's freezing. It just wasn't for me. I didn't like it at all. Again, I'm a dude who don't care about money like that. I'm like, man, just F this money, man. I can't live here like that. So China was probably the worst place I've been, but I've been a lot of nice places also. I had a lot of nice experiences.
So you would say you're okay with the whole process of going overseas and where basketball is taking you, seeing different parts of the world and whatever the case may be.
Yeah, it could have turned out a lot different. I guess being spoiled by the NBA, if I started my career overseas, I would have went into it, and appreciated it a lot more. Because, like in Europe, I didn't like Europe. I wasn't trying to be over there for 10 months, practicing 2 a days, all year, and playing the way they played. But a lot of guys go over there and get them good situations in Europe, and they love it, and they spend their whole career there. But the team I went to was in a bad city. It was it was the first year coach there. Again, I keep getting stuck with these guys. It was the first time coaching a team that big. He coached before, but not a team that big. And he cared about soccer more than he cared about basketball. And that was a bad situation. So the guys were just saying, man, nah, man, I'm telling you, man, Italy was where I went. Italy was nice. You just was, it's in a bad place. And I just, even in China, I'm in a bad city. If I'm in Shanghai, Beijing, I probably would have been cool because, they got good food stuff there. They very Americanized. And I just was in them bad cities because, them bad cities probably got to pay you more because they're in them bad cities. So I'm in the bad cities chasing the money and had bad experiences. So I'm writing them places off. So I started to really go more South America, where it's warm at. And during the winters, I can be somewhere warm and practicing once a day and enjoying them to play basketball. And really, those weren't the most respected places.
Yeah. Right.
But they chain me and I'm playing basketball and then going to the beach after.
Right. If you could go back now at your age now and you could tell your 19-year-old self something about preparing for your NBA career and just life as a whole, what would you tell yourself?
At 19, don't take it for granted because you never know when it could be taken away. Because I thought I'd still be in the NBA now. I'm almost 40 years old playing. I never thought it'd end. And at the age you don't think it's going to end. It's like even when I was after Max Stan and when I left the Spurs, I'm still like, even a few years. Even sometimes I look and I'm like, yo, I'm better than this dude right now.
Right.
Literally.
Right.
A healthy in shape me is better than a lot of these dudes I see.
Mm-hmm.
But you just never know when it could be taken away. So you can't take it for granted.
Now, where you're at in life, starting 2 years ago, I guess the Big Three comes out of essentially nowhere, and just talk about what that experience is in your recruitment of the Big Three and just where it's gone in such a short period of time. Where you got that phone call, the first person that told you about it, and to where you are today with Big Three, and as they get prepared for their third season.
Well, Kenyon had called me one day. It was like he just talked to Ice Cube and Roger Mason. They trying to do a 3-on-3 league with all ex-players, and I'm gonna be one of the captains. I'll let you know more about it when I know, but you interested? I was like, yeah, sounds cool. So as decided to get more real, so Kenyon, he was like, yeah, they gonna do it. So I talked to him. They're gonna pick these captains, and we're just gonna pick out our team. And you, me, probably pick up Al Harrington, try to get Gilbert Arenas, and got to get a few more players. I'm thinking he's just gonna be able to just pick his team, and that's what it is. So I'm like, I'm playing with Kenya. So I guess they're looking for more captains or whatever. So then I heard they was talking to
Allen Iverson.
Yeah, so they was talking to AI. So AI wasn't sure if he was going to do it or not. I guess they kept putting the pressure on him. Then he last minute decided, okay, I'm gonna do it. So he was like, yeah, you gonna be with me. I'm like, Chuck, you my dude, but I already told Kenyon I'm playing with Kenyon. So he telling me again, he did like 5 times. I had to tell him no 5 times. Like, I already promised Kenyon, we'll be on Kenyon's team or whatever. So then I guess they started to add more rules into play. Now the captains pick a co-captain. So, AI came to me, was like, you gonna be with me? He was like, man, Kenyon. I said, nah, bro, play with Kenyon. I ain't gonna back out on that, man. When I told him to be with him, that's my brother too. And he said, man, he picked Al as his
captain.
And I'm like, oh, okay. I was like,
oh, okay.
I wasn't mad at it.
Right.
I mean, I didn't even know, like, at this time, you picking co-captains and all that. So I was like, man, he said, I'm gonna make you my co-captain, whatever. I said, man, you talk to Kenyon about that, because I told that man, He was like, I'm just gonna pick you. Like, if I make you my co-captain, like, ain't nothing, you know what I'm saying, you can do about it.
Right.
And I was like, man, talk to Kenyon about that, because I mean, I'm loyal to my boy or whatever. So he was like, cool, I'm gonna talk to him. So then he was like, oh, yeah, I talked to Kenyon, you know what I'm saying? You know, you my co-captain. So I'm like, cool. I called Kenyon. You talked to Chuck? Nah. I said,
I was about to say.
oh man. I said, man, Chuck, he said he was gonna talk to you. You know, he kept asking me to play on his team, but I told him I'm playing on your team. And he said he was gonna talk to you. He making me his co-captain or whatever. And Kim was like, cool, man, sure, that's good. You know what I'm saying? Go get your, you know what I mean, get your money. He make you a co-captain, that's good. Go ahead. Good.
No tryout, no nothing.
Nah. But I didn't even know they was even gonna have trials at this time.
Right.
So that's how I become the co-captain of Three's company. I didn't really know what that entailed. I didn't know they were gonna have a draft. I didn't know that Allen wasn't gonna like
do anything.
He didn't work. so then we got a draft coming. I'm like, okay, now we got to draft the rest of the team. So we go to the AI don't show up for the draft.
Or the combine.
And yeah, at the combine.
Right.
And everybody else got their captain, their co-captain, their coach. He's the coach and the captain. So him not showing up leaves me alone. So here I am at the combine. I got to draft this team by myself. No help at all. Everybody got 3 people that's looking at all the players and, you know, writing down names and say who they going to draft. I'm there by myself, like, this dude. So I picked the team. Mm-hmm. I was happy with the team. So now they don't know. I'm thinking Allen's really not going to play. You know, the team I draft going to play. He's just going to basically coach. So they wanted to play.
Mm-hmm.
So he like down, he feel the pressure. He got to play. He hasn't really been working out like that. So he gets out on the court. He's hurting us. They going right to the post. But then we come on the game. The fans just call it for him and all that. And so he kind of he helped the league tremendously. Every jersey you seen was an AI jersey. Just his presence somewhere is big. But on the court, they attack him. It's 3-on-3. His game is 5-on-5, up and down, using the speed.
Mm-hmm.
And that the 3-on-3 didn't really help him. So he kind of hurt us, in the beginning by playing.
And then fast forward to season 2.
Then go season 2. He was like, okay. He said, I ain't playing this year. I'm not playing. I'm not even giving him the illusion that I'm playing. So I'm just gonna be the coach. So by me doing all the work the first year anyway, I talked to Jeff, Ice Cube's partner, and was like, well, I needed to be the captain of this team. Mm-hmm. It's already my team. And he knew that already, because even one of the times when AI didn't show up, I had to coach the team. And I'm like, I've already done the job.
Right.
And Jeff was like, I agree. You're right. You're the captain. And then I became the captain. And AI was going to be the coach. He brought on, him and Q brought on Baron Davis. Mm-hmm. I brought in Drew Gooden and then drafted the rest of the team. And that's basically how I became the captain. And it was funny because I love that role, because that's what I was trying to do anyway. I've already been through 2 drafts. That's going to go on my resume when I'm, trying to be in the front office of an NBA team. I've already, I got to decide who plays, every week, which isn't an easy thing, as you know, being there. When you put somebody on reserve, they don't like it at all. I'm getting, phone calls and guys mad, like I'm taking money out of their pocket when I'm really just trying to do what's best for my team. And all that's been a really good learning experience. I've actually taken on the role as like the GM captain more so than playing. When I first, was going to play, I'm like, man, I'm about to kill this league just from a playing perspective. But then when I realized all the obligations I had, the jobs I had to do as the captain by myself, I kind of took on that role more. I took pride in drafting good players, and I think I've done a good job of that.
Just from that first call where Kenyon said, "Hey, Cube's got a little something," to where we are today.
Mm-hmm.
Did you even think that this, like, when Kenyon called you, did you think it was this serious or it would be this big, or where just think about where the league has gone in such a short period of time?
No idea. I had no idea what to expect. With Ice Cube on it, I would think it would be something pretty cool. Didn't think we would be playing in NBA arenas. Like that first week in New York.
Last season, right?
No, season one.
Season one
in
that's right,
New York.
That's right.
With them almost 16,000 people in there, it was surreal.
Yeah.
I was telling Roger, who was the commissioner at the time, like, oh man, y'all did it for real.
Right.
And every week we playing against we're not playing against, we're playing in these arenas that's got 12,000, 14,000. Probably the worst we had was probably 9,000, 10,000, which was in Lexington. And these people are coming out, and the game is is a little different. We're used to going up and down. It's physical, more physical. We had to change some things with the game and the rules, and to get on the refs about how to call the game and stuff like that. But it's been a great experience, and really was more great. Was the best part about it. A lot of guys, think it's just being around the guys every week, getting to know. I mean, dudes who you had to play against all your career, who you didn't play on the team with, and you get a chance to know these dudes and be around legends, Dr. J and Iceman and Rick Barry and Gary Payton, the guys who you grew up watching. Now you got relationships with these dudes, and even like Ice Cube, I could just pick up the phone right now and call Ice Cube if I wanted to. And we all have that relationship, and building them relationships and the camaraderie around the guys is really was fun in the summer.
And for your regular, say when you're not during the summer, you are back at University of Cincinnati, where you went to school. Mm-hmm. You are coaching, and you're doing. What's that like, being what you know now, going back and you see these guys and these players. I know you told me about how some of the players don't even know who you are or what you were and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. So just how is that like, being back on the other side now, being a coach, a coach's assistant, or what's your title?
I'm an undergraduate assistant.
Undergraduate assistant, sorry.
Because I'm finishing school too.
Right.
So no, it's fun, man. I like being around the guys every day, and they really respect me. I've been to where they want to go, and I'm cool. I'm like a big brother to them dudes. I let Coach Cronin gets on them pretty hard, and I just kind of play the good cop and just tell them what I think they need to do, and just treat them like little brothers. Basically they come to me a lot, with stuff, and the being in the school part is the hard part. I had a lot to make up. I basically had to start over.
Mm-hmm.
Most people when they go back to school, it's like, okay, they
finishing
missed 1 year, or
right.
maybe after their senior year, they went right to the NBA. They didn't finish the last few classes. I had to basically start over. So that's been the biggest adjustment for me is being back in school, and luckily they're all online. I don't have to be the old guy in class, but the work still got to get done.
Right. So what's next for DeMar Johnson?
I'm not sure. I'll be finished school in April, and then after that, I just got to see what opportunities are there. I just want to do something in basketball.
Hold on, let me stop you right there. You just said I'll be finishing school in April. Mm-hmm. Has that sunk into you? Does that mean anything to you?
Yeah, but you know how I am. I'm cool about everything. Once I get there, that another accomplishment that nobody can take from me.
Where will that rank in your life accomplishments?
I don't know. I gotta go through the moment first.
Something you're looking forward to?
Yeah, and really something that I can, and I do. I tell my my kids, my son who doesn't love school that much. My daughter's a straight A student, but I'm telling him, I'm 38 years old, and I'm back in school. I'm doing the same thing you're doing, and if I can be on the dean's list and focus and do this work, then so can you. I mean, your mom's a college graduate. I'm going to be a college graduate. You got people you can look up to and learn from.
Okay, so go ahead after that. So you say you graduate in April.
Graduate in April, and then I just gotta see what opportunities I have. Whether it's still at my school with my coach, want to bring me on, at a assistant position, or another college want to bring me on, or NBA, front office, or coaching, or whatever, as long as it's around the game of basketball.
Okay. So it looks like the doors, you got plenty of options open. You will be playing next year again in the Big Three.
Mm-hmm. Looking forward to that.
Okay. And long term, you would like to be, I heard you say earlier, you would like to do some GM work?
Yeah, ultimately, I would probably want to be in the front office. I like putting teams together. I like scouting players. I like coaching them too, but like this year, like my coach wanted me to be more vocal with them, and I'm still not the guy that's talking in front of the whole team and screaming and yelling at guys. I'm more of a go up to them personally, pull them to the side. Yo, you need to do this, and do this. So I haven't really got all the way in coach mode yet, because I'm still in player mode.
Right.
But when it comes to like what I'm doing in the Big Three, like scouting these players, and putting them on my team and drafting them, that's fun for me. I'm making calls to guys, old teammates. How did he look last year? And I'm looking at old video of him, and I took it seriously. I know a lot of them other guys, they didn't even look at the video of some of the guys sent in that were trying to get drafted that wasn't able to be there. They picked up their friends.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm trying to pick up the best players. 2 years in a row, I pick up players who don't nobody know, who both of them guys end up being, top players in the league.
Absolutely. I couldn't agree with you more. All right, well, DeMar, I appreciate you taking out the time to talk to us, and I hope that everybody out there gets to hear your story. It's an incredible story, and you are very cool and very nonchalant about a lot of things, but you've done a lot, man. And I always say, my biggest thing with you, and that I've always say when bragging on my friends, because I brag about my brother, a lot of people it's so hard to make the NBA once, and you made it twice, and that's pretty impressive. You know what I mean? And that's the story out there that people should be able to, inspire, and that they told you that you might not walk again, and you didn't let them tell you what you can and can't do in terms of that. And to you, it was like I said, to you it doesn't seem like that big of a deal, but that is a very big deal. And a lot of people have given up for a lot less, and you kept pushing through that. And I think that people need to hear that and know that, that you can't just keep pushing through that stuff. And that's a lot. And you have accomplished a lot. And then also, again, that's why I had to stop you. You said, I graduate in April, and you said it like it was nothing. That's not nothing.
Say everything like it's nothing.
Yeah, but that's not nothing. And I don't want to sit up here and celebrate your athletic achievements and just gloss over your academic achievements, because financially that wasn't really necessary for you to go back and get your education, but it was something that you wanted to do. And like you said, a lot of people have to, it's different for a lot of former players to say you have to go back to school. You didn't really go back to school, you started school.
Yeah.
Right? So we're not talking about, I got 9 more credits and then I'll have my college degree. Might as well pick that up. You literally at the age of 34, 35, whatever, said, I'm about to go tackle these 120 credits. Mm-hmm. And you're almost done. And again, as a proud brother, I'm proud of you. That's a big accomplishment. And you did that. And I think that's also inspirational to a lot of people out there that's just never too old to go back to school. And if you start something, you should finish it. And I think, even knowing you, while you sit here and you say it's not a big deal, and I plan on being there that day, I think you'll think it's pretty cool when you walk across that stage and you hear your name. It might not quite be shaking David Stern's hand, but I think you'll think to yourself like, wow, it's kind of cool. I graduated college. So again, I appreciate you taking out your time to join us on the show. It was a pleasure having you. And again, thank you everybody out there for tuning in, listening to DeMar Johnson's story on the Let's Rap podcast. And make sure you check us out next time and see who the next guest is. Appreciate it, and everybody have a good day. Thank you.